I stood in Ron's office, arms crossed, jaw tight, watching his lips move like I was watching a rerun of a bad show. "We're letting you go, Jason. Your role's been eliminated." That's what he said, like he was reading it off a sticky note someone else wrote. It had been exactly 9 days since Tom's funeral. 9. My boss, my mentor, and the only reason I hadn't walked out of this place years ago, and this smug bastard had the balls to cut me loose while the damn sympathy cards were still on my desk. Quick note, before we start, how's your day going and where are you joining from? Tom knew what was coming. He saw it months back, laid it out like a blueprint. They thought I was just the sidekick. Truth was, the real game, it had already started. 6 months earlier, Tom called me into his office after hours. Lights were half off, most of the floor empty. Just the hum of the janitor's vacuum somewhere down the hallway. He didn't waste time. "I've got stage 4, he said, eyes fixed on the old leather folder in his hands. 6 months if I'm lucky. It hit like a punch to the chest, but I kept still. My throat locked up, but I nodded. He looked up. "They're going to rip apart everything I built once I'm gone." Then he opened the folder. "Unless we make sure they can't." That's how it started. He began looping me in, but not the public way. No announcements, no title changes, just meetings. One by one, he started bringing me to every face-to-face with his old-school clients. Not the flashy tech bros or corporate sharks. These were the steady ones. Family-run manufacturers in Oregon, old-line wholesalers out of San Diego, 2 legacy retail chains up in Washington State, guys who still shook hands and meant it. "Don't talk much," Tom told me the first time. "Just listen. Watch." And I did. I sat beside him at lunch meetings, plant tours, truck yards, back offices that smelled like coffee and cardboard. I started learning their quirks. Who had a gambling problem? Who didn't trust email? Who made every decision with their wife? And slowly, without ever saying it out loud, they started talking to me directly. On the surface, I was just his assistant. Quiet, polite, reliable. Behind the scenes, I was becoming the fallback. The guy they could still count on after the suits back at headquarters inevitably screwed it all up. Every handshake came with paperwork. Legal transfers, not company contracts, not internal memos. Actual client-controlled agreements, signed and notarized. We ran it all through a quiet little firm Tom trusted. Nothing flashy, and the crazy part? These weren't company assets. Tom had built the relationships outside the structure for years, personal agreements. He'd negotiated them off the books, not shady, just outside the corporate leash. Most of these clients weren't under exclusive company control anyway. The board never even noticed. They thought Tom was just a high-performing VP. Truth was, he had more leverage than the whole C-suite combined. I wasn't being groomed for a promotion. I was being armed for a takeover. "Don't ever trust Ron," Tom told me once, after a meeting down in Bakersfield. "He's already planning the backstab." You'll see I asked why he trusted me. He didn't even pause. "Because you give a damn," he said. That's rare around here. We met twice a week in his office after hours, sometimes in silence, just going through files, organizing transfers, building a separate system under their noses. No email, no cloud, all hard copies and private storage. I started memorizing names, routes, terms, billing cycles, down to the stupid details, like which client's kid was about to take over and who was secretly trying to sell. Tom moved slower every week. His voice got hoarser. His hands shook sometimes, but his focus, razor sharp. "They're going to try and bury you once I'm gone," he said. "Don't let them." And I didn't plan to. By the time we hit December, half the Pacific accounts were already in my name. Clean transfers, client signed, lawyer filed, no internal red tape, no paper trail inside the company. Tom wasn't building succession. He was staging an exit strategy for both of us. The morning after Tom's funeral, I walked into the office wearing the same black suit. I wasn't even through the door before Ron was calling me upstairs. He started soft. "Rough week for all of us," he said. "You doing okay?" I nodded once, didn't offer anything else. Then the CEO, Harold, piped up from the corner of the room. "We've been trying to locate the transition plans for the Pacific clients." Tom didn't document much, I blinked like I had no clue what they were talking about. Honestly, I said, I wasn't looped in on those. He kept those close to the chest. Ron frowned. He brought you to most of those meetings, didn't he? I shrugged. Not the big ones. They didn't like that answer, but I could see it. The uncertainty starting to creep in. They'd waited too long. They thought I was some loyal middleman, and now they were scrambling. While they played detective, I was already in motion. That same day after lunch, I met with a lawyer Tom had referred me to months back. Filed for my own LLC. Name was already picked. By the time the sun set, I had a federal EIN, a business checking account, and a lease on a shoebox office near the port of Tacoma. It smelled like dust and paint thinner, but it was mine. Over the next week, I started hitting up clients. Not emails, not calls. I drove, I showed up. Warehouse offices, shop floors, greasy parking lots, face to face, just like Tom taught me. I didn't pitch anything. I just asked how they were doing. Back at the company, Ron and his little crew were tearing apart Tom's old files, chasing threads that didn't go anywhere. Tom had been too careful. No digital trail, no flagged memos, just clean off-book transitions they didn't even know existed. By day 9, HR was hovering, and that morning, Ron finally made his move. Called me in again, this time with the tone of a man doing a favor. We're eliminating your role, he said. It's nothing personal. Budget changes, I nodded. Not angry, not surprised, just done. He slid a folder toward me like he wanted to pretend it was civil. I stood. No handshake, no questions. He expected a protest, desperation, some kind of reaction. All he got was silence and a smile. Then I walked out the same way I walked in, calm, quiet, steady. They thought they'd buried me. They didn't realize they were walking straight into the hole they dug themselves. 2 days after I walked out, the phone rang. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. 30 seconds later, it rang again. Same number. I picked up. Jason, this is Gavin Mercer, legal counsel for Harrington Partners. I'm calling regarding misappropriated assets, specifically the Pacific client accounts. He said it clean, cold, like he thought I'd fold the second I heard the word misappropriated. I leaned back in my chair, metal legs, vinyl seat, still smelled like the storage unit it came from. I'm going to stop you right there, I said. All future communication goes through Teresa Collins. There was a pause. I imagined him looking up her name and realizing this wasn't my first day in the ring. Then he pivoted. All right, look, no need to escalate this. The firm's willing to offer a short-term consulting arrangement, high comp. Keep things smooth. There it was. The carrot always comes after the stick. I hung up. That week, things got louder. 6 of my clients called me within 48 hours. Same story. The company was reaching out directly, offering deep discounts, priority fulfillment, flexible terms, full court press. 2 clients sounded curious, 1 sounded tempted, and then Ed called. He ran a sustainable furniture operation out of Bellingham. Smart guy, big vision. His voice was tight, fast, no small talk. They called my investor, he said. Told her you didn't own the agreements. She's rattled. Talking about pulling out, I didn't blink. Okay, I said. You trust me? I do, he said, but I don't know how long she will. I looped in Teresa within the hour. She was already 10 steps ahead. She'd been waiting for this. Tom had prepped her with everything. Agreements, timestamps, signed transfer files. Nothing digital, all physical, all notarized, all locked up in her firm's private archive. That wasn't all. Tom had also introduced me to a backup investor months ago. A private guy out of Spokane, ex-industrialist with quiet money and no patience for corporate BS. We met twice before. Tom called him the insurance policy. I called him that night. By Friday morning, Ed had a new investor lined up and signed. His old one, gone. And pissed, but irrelevant. Problem solved. The next morning, I got another call from Gavin, left a voicemail this time. You're creating unnecessary legal exposure for yourself. We advise full cooperation to avoid escalation. I forwarded it to Teresa. She laughed. Actually laughed. Escalation's coming, she said, just not from them. We filed a cease and desist, sent proof of client transfers, not just for the Pacific region, but a few Midwestern clients Tom had added late in the game. Each file was signed, sealed, airtight. Gavin went quiet after that, but the company didn't stop. A binder locked in Teresa's office marked severance protocol. Inside, every skeleton in their closet tied to the Pacific accounts. Unpaid bonuses, false reporting, even internal memos where execs admitted they planned to cut Tom loose once he finished cleaning up the region. Tom knew they'd come after me. What he left behind wasn't just protection, it was leverage. The next move came from the last person I expected. Got a text from Quinn late one night, just a short line. "You free tomorrow? Need to talk." Quinn was one of the guys who leapfrogged me for promotions. Twice. Always knew how to play the game, kept his head down, smiled at the right people. We met at a diner off R5, the kind with cracked leather booths and lukewarm coffee. He was already there when I walked in, stirring a sugar packet into nothing. Looked like he hadn't slept in a week. I slid into the booth. "It didn't think I was on your call list." He didn't even crack a smile. "They're digging, Jason," he said. "Hard. Old emails, project notes, even building badge logs. Anything they can twist into evidence. I didn't flinch. They're calling clients too, saying you forged the transfers, that you manipulated Tom." "Of course they are," I said. "That's all they've got." He glanced around before leaning in. "They froze Tom's final payout," he said. "His family doesn't even know yet. Legal's holding it under review, saying it's pending internal review of irregularities." My fist tightened under the table. "They're hitting his widow now?" "To rattle you," he said. "It's pressure, plain and simple." I stared at him for a beat. "So why tell me?" He didn't answer right away, just stared down at the swirling mess in his coffee. "Tom saved my ass once," he finally said. 3 years ago. Bryce wanted me out over that budget screw-up. Tom buried it. Went to bat for me." He looked up, eyes sharp for the first time all morning. "I owe him. And I guess I owe you too." "Bryce the one pushing this?" I asked. He nodded. "He's in full panic mode. Wants to paint this as you going rogue. Said if they tie me to anything, I'm the fall guy." "So he's trying to frame both of us?" "Yeah," he said, "and the board's getting nervous. They're watching investor chatter. They know you've still got clients." He leaned back, exhaled like he'd been holding it in all week. "You've got them cornered, man. They're getting reckless." For a second, neither of us spoke. The waitress came by, refilled the coffee, walked off. Then he asked it, soft, careful. "You got room over there, if it all blows up?" I looked at him. Not the smirking Quinn from the office. This guy looked ready. "If you jump," I said, "it's for good. You don't bring their garbage with you." He nodded once. "Understood." I slid out of the booth and dropped a few bucks on the table. Then, you know where to find me. The company had launched a full-blown smear job. Emails, calls. A few even hit the investor circles, painting me as a fraud, Tom as a confused old man they'd covered for out of respect. They wanted to cut my legs out from under me. So I took the gloves off. I called Greg Lyles that night. Tom had introduced us once in a quiet steakhouse just outside of Spokane. Greg was a retired investor. Old school, gray suit, slow talker. But when he spoke, people listened. Deep pockets, clean rep, and more than a few favors owed in the industry. "I figured this was coming," Greg said over the phone. "You ready to push back?" "I'm past ready." He flew down the next day, walked into my office, no entourage, no flash, and shook my hand like it was already done. "Let's clean house," he said. First thing he did was reach out to 5 of my biggest clients, directly. Not just a vouch, full backing. Reassured them that my business was stable, funded, and real. Quietly bought into my firm at 30%. No press, no leaks. Just a signature and a wire transfer. Then I started calling clients one by one. Not to defend myself. I didn't need to. Instead, I asked questions. What's the one problem the old company never solved for you? Who haven't they called back? What did they sweep under the rug? Then I fixed it. One client needed a new packaging vendor. I found one in 24 hours. Another had a legal tangle with a customs broker. I looped in Teresa's firm. Marketing troubles? I set them up with a local team Greg trusted. Every call they made to trash me just gave me another chance to prove they were the problem, not me. And it worked. 2 weeks in, not a single client had left. In fact, I picked up 2 new ones, referrals from Ed and another from a wholesaler in Nevada who said, "If Lyles is backing you, that's all I need." I didn't respond to the company's attacks. No press statements, no online drama, just results. Word travels fast in this industry, and once people saw I was solving real problems while the company played dirty, the tide shifted. Greg said it best during a walk to the corner coffee shop near the office. "They tried to destroy your name," he said. "Instead, you turned every hit into free advertising." I just nodded. They wanted to wreck my credibility. All they did was highlight why I was worth following. Greg had just left for the day when my phone rang. Private number. I let it go once, then picked up. It was Ron. His voice was calm, even friendly, like none of the smear campaign had happened. "Jason, I'll get straight to it. We want to bring you back." I didn't say anything, just waited. "Full partnership," he said. "Corner office, executive salary, bonus package. We're willing to make it right. All we ask is that you return the clients and help transition them back." There it was. The desperation behind the Polish. I leaned back, let the silence hang for a few beats. "What's the actual role?" I asked. "Strategic advisor," he said, meaning sit in a chair, smile for photos, and shut up. "All right," I said. "I'll think about it." Then I hung up. That night, I drove to Teresa's office with the backup files Tom left me. He'd labeled the folder Equity, which at the time I thought meant client shares. I was wrong. We sat across her desk as she opened it. Slow, careful. Inside were records going back 15 years. Not client contracts, financial manipulation. Line by line, overbilling client retainers, bonus rigging through fake performance metrics, commission suppression schemes that cut junior reps out of earnings. Internal documents confirming they used NDA clauses to hide service failures. "I thought this was just about Tom's accounts," I said. Teresa shook her head. "This is structural and deliberate every year, the same pattern. Every quarter, the same manipulation. They weren't just screwing over employees. They were screwing the clients too, inflating rates, pocketing kickbacks, burying refund requests. Tom had been documenting it since before I even joined the company. He was building the case," I said. "All this time." Teresa nodded. "In case he didn't make it." There were audio files too, meeting recordings. Bryce bragging about recycling year-end bonuses. A board member laughing over a forced layoff to pad the Q4 numbers. I sat back in my chair. They're going to try to bury this. Hard, Teresa smiled, sharp, quiet. Not if we take it public first. She scheduled a meeting with a federal financial investigator she'd worked with on another case years back. Said he didn't like corporate cover-ups. "We'll give him the original file," she said. "Let the feds handle the rest." I stared at the folder for a second longer. This wasn't a defense file. This wasn't a backup plan. This was the nuke. The company thought a shiny title and a 6-figure check would shut me up. What they didn't know was that Tom had already written their ending, 15 years ago. The story hit the wire at 9:03 a.m. By 10:30, the stock was down 10%. By noon, the board had temporarily suspended 4 executives. By 2, Bryce was being walked out of the building with a banker's box and a face full of rage. It was everything Tom said would happen. Just faster. My phone buzzed. "Quinn, they're blaming you and Tom, saying you faked everything I texted back. Let them talk." They could spin whatever story they wanted. The feds had the files. The press had the headlines. The company couldn't control the narrative anymore. Not with that kind of rot out in the open. Teresa called an hour later. Calm voice. No fluff. "Tom's family is getting the payout." I let out a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. She continued, "The board doesn't want the PR nightmare of stiffing a dead whistleblower's widow. It's already ugly enough that win mattered more than anything else. That check wasn't just money. It was dignity." I walked out of my office and found Nell sitting in the break room, sipping coffee like she owned the place. The only person besides me he ever trusted with small tasks was Nell. Sharp, quiet, always listening when others weren't. "You came in early," I said. She grinned. "Didn't want to miss the fireworks." She'd walked out the same morning the story broke, left her badge on Ron's desk, and never looked back. I offered her full time that afternoon. "Hope you're ready to build," I told her. "I've been ready since the day Tom got sick," she said. 2 more clients signed contracts that week, referrals from others who were done with corporate games and fake partnerships. We didn't pitch loyalty. We just earned it. By Friday, Greg came by the office with lunch, dropped it on my desk, nodded at the growing stack of signed agreements. "You just built something they can't touch," he said. I believed him. The news cycle kept rolling. More suspensions, anonymous tips, leaked emails, an emergency shareholder call. Bryce's name trended for 2 straight days, not for good reasons. And through all of it, I kept the office steady. No gloating, no grandstanding, just results. Tom's payout was processed within the week. His wife sent a short note through Teresa, handwritten, barely a paragraph. "Thank you for not letting them bury him. He believed in you. So do we." That hit harder than any win. The walls were caving in, just not around me. They tried to turn Tom's death into a loophole, a way to clean house, erase files, steal clients. Instead, it became a symbol, and the rest of them, just a cautionary tale. A week later, I got a letter in the mail. Real envelope, real handwriting. No return address, just my name across the front, in small, careful cursive. Inside was a short note from Tom's wife. "There's one more thing. He wanted you to have it. Storage unit, key enclosed. I drove out that afternoon. Small facility off Route 99. Chain link fence, keypad gate, dusty gravel lot. Unit 412. The key slid in clean. Inside was a single steel file cabinet, locked. A second key was taped to the side. When I opened the drawer, I just stood there for a minute. Folders, dozens of them, each labeled with a name I recognized. Every board member, every senior exec still clinging to power. Teresa and I laid it all out that night. Conflicts of interest, bribery, phantom invoices. Audio recordings from board meetings. Unfiltered, raw, stuff you couldn't unhear. Bryce saying, "We'll just bury the bonuses and vendor fees again." The board chair. "If legal ever gets a hold of that audit, we're done." Email printouts, hidden LLC registrations, offshore transfers. A full hand-labeled diagram of their entire house of cards. I looked at Teresa. "You've seen a lot. Is this normal?" "No," she said. "This is scorched earth." She handed it off to the feds first thing the next morning. Later that week, the board chair resigned. SEC froze all pending bonuses. Stockholder payouts were suspended across the board. 3 more execs got subpoenas. 2 hired criminal defense attorneys. Teresa kept me looped in, but by then, I wasn't even surprised. Just watching the thing collapse exactly the way Tom built it to. He hadn't just taken his clients back. He hadn't just protected me. He burned the whole damn system to the ground, and all I had to do was follow the map he left behind. 6 months to the day after they fired me, we opened the doors to our new office. Bigger space, real reception area. Clean white walls with deep blue trim. The sign on the glass read, Harbor and Knox Consulting. 14 clients, 6 full-time staff, and 1 framed photo of Tom in the lobby. Right under it, a plaque. "You don't need their ladder when you've built your own." His wife and kids came to the ribbon cutting. I walked them through the space myself. The bullpen, the call rooms, the small break area with the espresso machine his daughter kept sneaking cookies from. Then, I opened the door to the corner office. Clean desk, 2 chairs, bookshelf with Tom's old binder on display. "We named it after him," I said. "Nobody else gets this room." His wife smiled through glassy eyes. "He'd have been proud of you." Before I could respond, the front door opened. Quinn stepped in, hands in his pockets, looking like he wasn't sure if he should even be there. "Nice setup," he said. "Looks solid." I raised an eyebrow. "You casing the place or applying?" He let out a dry laugh. "Got room for one more?" I looked him over. No suit, no fake smile. Just a guy who'd finally stopped lying to himself. "If you're ready to do it the right way," I said, "then yeah." He nodded, stepped fully inside, and let the door close behind him. That afternoon, the SEC dropped their final ruling. Years of fraud, systemic abuse, executive manipulation. The press called it a full collapse of corporate integrity. Investors called it a write-off. I called it overdue. By 4, I was alone in my office, standing at the window, watching the harbor, the same one I used to see from the back stairs on smoke breaks with Tom. The sun hit the water like a clean cut, sharp, final. The old company was gone. The people who tried to bury us were buried themselves. Tom didn't just leave me clients, he left me something bigger, something worth protecting. Justice wasn't just served, it was built, client by client, contract by contract, hour by hour, until it stood tall enough for everyone to see. What started as my escape had become his redemption, and our revenge.